Well, good morning, everyone. It is 10 a.m. on Friday morning, and I am Anne LaFollette. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am going to give you guys all a minute to jump on this morning. I already see some thumbs up, which is fabulous. And if you are joining us for the first time, please jump in the comments and say good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time it is in your time zone. I am going to bring on our special guest today, and I'm super excited to introduce you to Susan Palmer. Hi, Susan.
No.
So Tamara is here, and Marianne is here, and we are super excited to be here today. And I always like to start with a sound check. And so you guys let us know as we talk if you hear an echo or if everything sounds good. And let me just start by saying, for any of you who are new here, that I am Anne LaFollette, and I am a surface pattern designer and online educator. And more, I am describing myself as a creative entrepreneur. And my very short story, for those of you who are new here, is that I had a corporate job for 25 years. I worked for the Gap and Old Navy and Esprit de Corps and other big names like Sears that I'm sure you've heard of. And when I was in my late 50s, my boss called me into his office and said, we just eliminated your job, Anne, so walk down the hall and go talk to human resources. And this came as a complete shock. I was at the vice president level. I was in the top 5 performers at the company. I never expected to lose my job. I thought I would retire with the proverbial gold watch and the retirement party. So long story short, this ended up being a blessing because it allowed me to reinvent myself and discover surface design and create my own business. And so now I'm my own boss. And I love being my own boss. And I also love teaching surface design, which is how Susan and I met. And so, Susan, let me do a quick sound check. Sound is great. It says, hi, everybody. Let me just see for some people who are new here. I can't see their names. So hold on. Let me just get into my phone. So maybe I can see them on my phone. And we will get started. Here we go. So I'm seeing Julie Collier's here, and Angela Joy Allen. Janet is here, and I'm going to read some of the names I don't recognize because I bet you're friends. Leah Swanberg. And awesome. Okay, so I am going to introduce Susan and say welcome. First of all, thank you, Susan, for joining us this morning. And tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us sort of where you are in the world. And
Okay.
Let's just start there.
All right. Well, I live in Stanwood, Washington, which is about an hour north of Seattle. And I've lived in Washington most of my life. I went to college in Santa Barbara, California, and I lived a short time for about 7 years in Portland, Oregon. And now I'm back up in the Northwest. So, yeah, I've been
Fantastic. So you and I are in the same time zone.
Yes.
So tell us about your creative journey. When did your creative journey start?
I guess I was thinking about that yesterday because I was trying to write my little bio for my new website. Basically, as a child, anybody that asked me what I wanted to be as I got older was I wanted to be an artist. So I've always had that need to create. And as a young girl, I was into calligraphy, and then in high school, graphic arts. College, I majored in photography. And when I was in Portland, Oregon, there was an amazing quilt shop called Daisy Kingdom. It's no longer around, but I'm sure people still remember it. And that's where I took my first quilt class and fell in love with touching and feeling fabric and the beautiful colors and what you could do with cutting up a piece of fabric and make an amazing quilt. So that's how I got started.
Awesome. And did you get support from your family and your friends around this, artistic journey?
Yeah. It's a funny story that you brought that up. My mom and her best friend her name was Ann Rudder. When they were young mothers, they decided to take an art class, watercolor class. And my mom always said it was my fault for her not becoming a famous watercolor because I always wanted to sit on her lap when she was painting.
That's such a sweet story.
Anne is a pretty renowned Northwest watercolorist, and she passed away a few years ago. But she was definitely somebody I looked to for my art.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you're very blessed to have been in an environment where people weren't telling you, oh, no, you can't do that. You got to go become a nurse or something.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
So tell us a little bit more about this love of fabric and quilting.
So I've been quilting for over 30 years now. And in 2007, I was working for the phone company. And like you, I got laid off. They closed my department and moved it to California. And I took my little nest egg and I bought a long arm quilting machine at that time and started long arm quilting. There's a group of ladies on the island that's adjacent to me, Camino Island, and they make these amazing quilts for a state park on the island. And just because the timing and everything, I was lucky enough to get the contract to quilt all their beautiful tops. So I do the quilting for them. They give them to the park, and the park uses them in their cabins and also sells them once a year at a quilt show to raise money for events at the park. So
Awesome. So quick comment by Deborah Paradis. She said, I made Daisy Kingdom dresses for display in my workplace, and then my daughter got to wear them.
They were so pretty. I miss those Daisy Kingdom dresses.
Yeah, super sweet. So tell us about your overall business, because there are a lot of different components to what you do.
There are. So you can only quilt so many quilts in a day. So I had to do something else. And luckily, I fell into being a fabric representative for a couple of different fabric companies. And my territory is Oregon and Washington. So I travel the whole states. Takes me 9 hours to get to the bottom of Oregon from where I live. And I visit amazing quilt shops and sell them the fabrics that they have. So it's pretty exciting. Of course, during the pandemic, that's where I needed to make another change. Didn't want to travel, didn't want to stay in hotels. So thank goodness Anne came into all of our lives and filled that space.
Yeah, I am so incredibly grateful that we found each other. And Pamela says, I'm the leader of the Kama Beach Quilters group. Thanks for the shout out, Susan. Awesome. Awesome. So I know you have some, before we go to your website. So first of all, congratulations on your website going live. I think you said earlier this week. So we're going to go spend some time there. You also have a very exciting announcement very exciting announcement to make about this collaboration you have with a company in Montreal. But before we get there, people love show and tell. So show us a little bit. I know you went downstairs to pick up some things. So I'm going to turn it over to you and talk to us about what you'd like to show us.
I thought you guys would like to see an actual collection from a quilt shop or a quilt company. So if you look real closely, I'll try to.
Yeah, brilliant. You're doing a great job. So this is how the collection gets shown to the quilt shop.
Right. So if you see that this one, I would say was the main fabric.
The hero. Yep.
The hero fabric. And then you have your secondary fabrics. And then even, your...
The blender prints.
Blender prints. Thank you, Anne.
Yeah.
And so, so colorways, you can see there's a couple different colorways here that they put together, but they all still work really nicely together. And then I also have another group that's batiks.
Wow.
You
Wow,
see,
those are amazing.
right.
I think
So,
that while you hold that, so give us, this is so incredibly valuable to get your perspective on when you go to the quilt shop with this. Walk us through the process. Like what does a visit to a shop when you're traveling to your territory? What does that visit look like?
well, every shop is different, of course.
Yeah.
But basically, I come in with a couple of suitcases full of fabric, and I bring them out, and I put them out on put them out on a table, and they just go through them, and they decide which ones they want and which ones they don't. The biggest thing I'll show you, I was just looking at it. Oh, this
The
one.
birds, yeah, the birds are gorgeous on the on that one.
Cool. But, oops, upside down. But something to think about is a lot of shops will say, well, this is directional. It's beautiful, but it's directional. And they have a lot of hard time with direction. They want something that is more of an all over.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and so Susan, you can definitely sit back down again so we can see your beautiful face. So one of the things that is so incredibly valuable about what you just showed us is it just brings kind of to life this concept around collections. And so tell us, like, why do quilt shops want to buy from collections? Tell us their perspective.
why do, there's of course, why do they want to buy from collections? It's the easiest way to fill their shop, for one thing. A lot of shops will go, okay, I'll take that whole collection and, I'll write it down. Other shops want to go through every single piece of fabric and pick and choose. So it just depends on the shop owner. But collections are always an easy way to fill your shop and have a beautiful array of fabrics. So,
And so partially it's they want to fill their quota of like inventory, right?
right.
Partially
Yeah.
it is the way they can showcase beautiful options for people, for
Mm-hmm.
customers to buy. And then
Yeah.
I imagine there's also, if they're trying to put themselves in the shoes of the person coming in who's trying to put something together that would have elements that might not be all from one collection, but might be from a color story.
Right. They might have a certain color that's they've run out of the fabric, so they're looking for oranges or they're looking for purples or something like that.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
when you go from shop to shop, how much time are you able to spend in the shop itself?
The shops usually run the appointments usually run about 3 hours.
Okay, so
So,
you're definitely in the space. So you, because I'm curious about, and I know I totally didn't prepare you for going down this road, so it's totally fine. We can go, we can go to your website next, but it's so incredibly valuable to because you're in the shop, and so
yeah.
do you notice a real difference shop to shop about how they either display or how they are just how how they display, and so how they're trying to attract their customer, the ultimate buyer of the fabric.
Absolutely. There's some shops that want everything light and bright and exciting. K Facet and Tula Pink are big in shops right now. So if you guys want to go look up their designs, get an idea. And then there's other shops that want to go retro, go back to the Civil War era, and they're looking for things that fit that, you know,
Yeah,
perspective.
yeah, and I think that's such a great example of how many possibilities there are for us as
Yeah.
fabric designers, right? Because there's somebody out there that wants what we are making and what we're creating in terms of our one-off prints or our collections.
And they never buy the same fabric twice. And the fabrics are what I'm showing them arrives in their shop about 6 to 8 months later. So they're always shopping, months ahead of time before you see it, and they're always looking for something new. So
Right.
it's available for anybody to jump in.
So
And
tell us a little bit about what's behind you because you have two beautiful things, totally different things behind you.
okay, well, this is a piece I did a few years ago from a lavender festival in Squim. I took a picture of some pine cones, and I don't know if you can see it, but I quilted in some lavender stems in here.
Yeah, so those
And
are quilted, right? Those lavender stems. It's so gorgeous. I mean, we can see them beautifully. We can't touch the dimensionality of them, but they're beautiful.
thank you. And then this is all pieced, so lots of itty bitty pieces of fabric in that.
Yeah, so each of those little pine cones is a different piece of fabric that you put together, right? In that to make the pine cone shape.
Right, exactly, exactly. And then this, I'm working on a new pattern. This is a disappearing nine patch that I actually thought somebody in Kama Beach was making disappearing nine patches, and I got the idea that it'd be fun to do an argyle quilt using that method. And so I'm creating a new pattern that will hopefully it's a good beginner pattern. So hopefully sell it to some of the quilt shops for all the beginning new quilters out there because of the pandemic.
Yes, and so we talked a little bit about this before you came online about how, you know, obviously 2020 was a crazy year. Everybody had to stay home to be safe, and that has created an opportunity for a resurgence in the quilting world. And tell us a little how that started with their first sewing
Yeah,
machine purchase.
yeah. So right now you can't get a beginning sewing machine out there. They're sold out, and it's because of our all the masks that we've been making. All the quilters and all the new sewers out there are making masks for everybody. And so yeah, so now they have these new machines, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with it. They're sick of making masks, so they're into quilting, which is exciting, and means that we need to make more fabric for them.
Exactly, exactly. So Pamela Fredrickson says, I can tell what kind of fabrics a shop will have by the background music they're playing.
Good point.
Right? I mean, it's the whole vibe, right? I mean, when you have a
Yeah.
store, when you have a physical space, it's everything from the music they're playing, the lighting they have, the the way they want to display, and the ultimately how they want to kind of differentiate themselves in the marketplace to attract their customer.
Exactly. Exactly.
So let me see if there are any other things that I forgot to answer. Oh yeah, one question was, did during COVID? So this is Amy Bogan's question. Are you doing online visits, or have you been able to do online visits, and how has that translated? Because people may want to touch the fabric, or certainly your shop owners probably touch everything you bring in.
They do, and that's so. I have done some a, a, a few visits in the store, and Lysol is a wonderful thing. After we've been there touching all the fabric, I take it, bring it home, and Lysol it all up. And yes, yes. But online, I have done some Zoom calls with customers. It's kind of harder because just like we're doing here, it's even though I try my best to show the fabrics, it's a little difficult. But we also my couple of my shops, they've been sending out catalogs to the ladies, to the quilt owners. Most of them are ladies, and because they know our product, the quality of our product, they're used to the feel and the touch, so they know
They
what.
trust you because they have a long-term relationship with you, and
Exactly. Yeah.
got it. That
Yeah.
makes sense. That
So
makes sense.
so visit those quilt shops because they need your support.
I know for sure, for sure. So two things, two pieces of vocabulary that we used that I just want to make
Mhm.
sure for people who are new to quilting that they kind of understand, or also surface design, because the first one is sort of more of a surface design term. So you and I both talked about, and you highlighted a beautiful directional print, which is one that's linear, had the trees on it and the beautiful birds on it. And
Yeah.
you made the comment that some of the shops think it's gorgeous, but it's limiting in how it can be used unless it's something that is going to be like a long curtain or something like that.
For a
So,
border type, right?
And so just for the audience that's watching, the reason that you could, it's absolutely fine to have directional prints in your collection because they're very, very beautiful and they do have applications. But if you think about trying to, create a blouse or trying to create sort of anything that you would have to match up the seams and everything in one particular direction, it's just harder. And so an all over print or um, an all over print basically, or what's the term I'm searching for, it's sort of a tossed print. A tossed
Right.
print, which means that you can put it in any direction and it still looks beautiful, is just easier for the sewist, right? How would you
Especially
explain that?
beginners. Yeah. Especially beginners, because when you cut a piece of fabric and then you put it up, you can see that it makes a difference. Well, I don't have one. It does make a difference on how you sew it into your block.
Right.
So sometimes you'll make a triangle and you'll put it up and it's like, oh, they're going completely different and they fight with each other in the
Right.
composition.
So it's another factor that you have to take into consideration.
Right. But it's, I still love directional quilts. I love stripes, especially Pam will know, on bindings. Stripes on bindings are amazing. But so one of the things going through your class and trying to start making collections, I've decided that I want to put a stripe in every one of my collections just as a little signature.
Yeah, I
So,
love that. That's brilliant. Totally brilliant. So, so Amy Bogan says directional prints, you also have to buy more fabric for the matching. So yes, Amy, thank you for reminding us of that. It's true. So it costs you a little bit more money.
right.
Awesome.
And that means you have more for your stash later. So
To do other things with.
exactly.
Right. The other thing that you mentioned was that I wanted to go back to was disappearing
9 pounds.
9 patch. So talk more about that.
All right. So let me see if I can scoot. There we go. So this is a 9 patch. It's basically 9 blocks sewn together. And then when you cut them apart, 9 patch disappears and you can change it. So it just totally looks different. And so they call this design a disappearing 9 patch.
Fun.
So just like you place the quilt. So, but this one is super simple. I'm just putting a stripe in the middle of it. I'm going to turn it on a diamond and make it look like an argyle.
Fantastic. Okay, so talk about your wall. What do you have on your wall that is allowing you to do that demonstration for us?
This is called a design wall. And if you actually go to my YouTube channel, I did a 2.5-minute video on how to make a design wall. And I love this design wall. I've had it probably for 12, 15 years. I moved it from one room in my house to another. And all it is rigid insulation with a layer of batting on top of it. And you can see all the different threads that are on it that have been picked up over the years. But I just put it up there with sticky Velcro, and it's wonderful. I can just stick them up there, or if I feel like it's too heavy, I can pin into it, and it's amazing. It's the best thing you can do for yourself as a quilter or designer.
That's awesome. That's totally awesome. So, so let's now go to I'm going to share my screen. So first, I always like to ensure that I show my gratitude to the internet, right? It's always very, very important to show our gratitude to the internet because it allows us to connect in this way that's so incredibly powerful. And we need community more than ever. However, when I start to do more complicated things, I've already got you on here through broadcasting through Ecamm Live. I'm going to share my screen now to go to your website. So if the system crashes, I don't think that it will, but just so long, if it does, we'll be right back. So don't go anywhere, anybody. In case the connection gets funky, we'll be right back. But I think it's going to go very smoothly. I just always like to say a little prayer. So I am going to share my screen and we're going to go to your website. And when we talk a little bit about your website, I want to make sure that I didn't skip over your kind of explanation of the different components of your business. right? Because
Okay.
I think I kind of skipped over a little. Hold on a second. Let me get my cursor. I think I kind of skipped over that a little bit. But let me go to your website, which is aquiltlife.com. Let me just make sure that it's coming up. It has a beautiful quilt on the cover. And I love the fact that as soon as you land on the website, it says the first stitch begins a quilt. Let's get started. And your mission is to grow and support the quilting and art community. Just beautiful. It's a wonderful mission statement. And so I'm going to scroll down. You can see it on screen, right?
Yes.
So, first of all, this is awesome. You're seeing lessons, your storefront, and then this beautiful picture of that's a long arm.
That's my long arm.
That's your long arm. So that's awesome. So you have a very special announcement to share with everybody.
Well, I kind of posted it earlier in Facebook, but yeah, I was able to take my prints and beautiful Montreal store took my prints and put it on their clothes. So I have a storefront now through their print on demand site, and Anne's French will tell you what the name of the company is.
Yeah, so first of all, congratulations. This is just amazing. Everybody, this is so fantastic. So because of the power of the internet and being able to really put your work out there and be found by anyone, anywhere, Susan's work was found by this beautiful company called Le Galeriste in Montreal. And so tell us how they found you online, right?
Well, yeah, Facebook. They posted, I think, just like Anne's Doodles to Dollars, and I went to their website and saw their amazing website, and they asked for three different prints or three different designs, and so I sent three different ones, and about a week later they sent me back an email, said thank you, we love your stuff, here's how you if you want to contract with us, just check this box. And they posted these beautiful pictures of their clothes with my designs on them, which are amazing.
It is so gorgeous. So gorgeous. So this is the beautiful hero print, right? Your beautiful rose print that is
Right.
both in color, right? And then it's also in black and white.
Yep.
And these lend themselves to these dresses and also this really beautiful kimono, just beautifully, right? And the tunic, I love this collar on the tunic. It's amazing. And then this really, really chic, this chic dress. It's amazing, right? It's absolutely amazing. And so you guys can come to this website. You want to go first to aquiltlife.com, and then you want to scroll down just like I did and click on the shop button, and then you can come here and look at this assortment. It's beautiful. And one of the things I wanted to also mention is technology continues to change so rapidly and makes things so much easier than we might think to get started selling our beautiful artwork on clothing, for example. And this website in particular has a toggle switch. So if you're in Montreal and speak French, do you see where my cursor is here up in the right-hand corner? This will allow me to switch to, currently it says products, art, about, us, and create, which is obviously in English, but I'm going to click this little button and it's going to change into French. Just so cool. It's just so cool. So instantaneously it now says produit, art, à propos, créer, and connection. And créer is making. So I can click back on this to go back to the English version, but it's totally amazing. And of course, I just totally gravitated to that because I'm always looking for when can I offer my academy program in French without having to translate it all myself. And so this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. Everyone is saying gorgeous. And then Gabriella is saying that she is from Montreal. and people are loving your rose print,
Yay.
and which
Thank
is
you.
just absolutely fantastic. And
Thank you.
so let me come back on screen for a second. And Marianne asked the question, how did it happen? So talk a little bit more about how it happened.
Um, how did it happen? Well, I was just scrolling through my feed on Facebook one day and saw their request, I guess, for art, and I clicked on the link, and it brought me to their website and a lot of information on how to download your designs and your surface designs, and that, if they were approved, I would get information back in a few days. And they said 3 days, and I think it took a week, but that's still darn fast.
That's very fast. That's
Yeah.
very fast. So then tell us a little bit about, I'm going to share my screen again. We're going to go to your Instagram account. But first of all, let me just repeat that in the description for today's broadcast, this video right now, this live broadcast, I put a clickable link to Susan's website. So when you see the description, join us for a live interview with Susan Palmer, it also has a blue link that says aquiltinglife.com. aquiltlife.com. So make sure you click that link, and then you'll go right where I was just showing you. And then you can just scroll down and pop into the shop to check out those gorgeous dresses. So tell us a little bit about how you use Instagram while I pop over to your Instagram account.
Well, it was from you and Juliet Meeks that told me that I need to get on Instagram and start posting my art. I'm sure that a lot of you have heard about the 100-day challenge of making art to help you find your signature style. And so I have decided to take that on. And so I'm trying to post every day something I've designed, drew. But then I also pop in some quilts that I've quilted or made.
It's just beautiful. And so this is such a great example, everybody. So you guys know I love to say this. If you're multitasking, come back to us. This is such a great example of how Susan is utilizing her Instagram account to talk about what it is that she's doing and post her work, right? So there are three themes that immediately emerged for me here that I want to point out just from popping on to your beautiful feed. The first thing is that there's some diversity here, right? There's some diversity of you doing close-ups, right? This is gorgeous of this bee. Here, hold on a second. Let me see if I can come into the bee. This is actually an IGTV, right? You did a video.
Yeah. Yep.
You then have like a hero. This is like a beautiful hero illustration.
Right. There's that's the Argyle quilt that I've made from the Disappearing Nine Patch. That's right. My first one.
So isn't that amazing? I mean, when it looked on your wall, it looked like it was going to be quite simple, and yet it can be so complex because of the way you can reorient all the each square.
Exactly.
Right? It's amazing. Oh, it's incredible. Then you are posting some of your the mock-ups of your dresses, so people can go from, oh, this is really pretty, but what would I do with that, to this is what you do with it. You put it on a beautiful dress or a tunic or a robe. Just fantastic. Yep. And then I wanted to scroll down a little bit further because I love this too. I love that you are also sharing your process.
Right. So I'm drawing because that's what Anne teaches to do. So that's my drawing. And then I usually what I'll do is take that picture and actually put it in Procreate and do some coloring there. Then take it over to Art Illustrator. And then if the color's not quite right from Procreate, I then can change the colors in Art Illustrator a whole lot easier after I've colored it in Procreate.
And then this beautiful rose print is it from a photograph?
Nope. Those are the same roses. Just I added some stems, and then I added design. If you scroll down, you'll see the lattice work by itself somewhere.
The lattice work
Um,
is gorgeous. I remember when you first posted this, I thought it was phenomenal that you put the two of them on top of each other.
yeah, yeah. So that I paint, I designed that, drew that out, and I wanted to, to make it look like shadows. So I made sure that the colors made it look like a shadow, like a real
Yeah,
lattice.
yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. So I'm going to bring you back on screen because I want to. This is just another really great kind of teaching moment, as they say. So everyone's workflow is different, right?
Right.
So in my doodles, my free doodles course,
Mm-hmm.
and then in my paid academy program, I try to emphasize that each and every one of you, as you become more proficient in Adobe Illustrator, and also more confident in your own sketching and drawing ability, that
Mm-hmm.
your workflow will look different from my workflow. I share mine, but because you can take the parts of it you like. But talk us to us about sketch to pattern, what your flow looks like.
All right. So yeah, I have my little sketchbook here, the one that Anne recommended. It's wonderful. I wish I was a watercolorist. I hope maybe sometime I will dabble back get into that. But I'll just sketch probably in front of the TV at night with my husband. And then the next morning I'll take a picture and bring it into Procreate, uh, trace it out and color it in. And then I make it a PNG and I bring it over to my Adobe Illustrator and start making the pattern.
And so when you bring it in from Procreate as a PNG file, do
Mm-hmm.
you then pull the colors out of it and save those as a swatch in Illustrator? And you mentioned some color adjustments. So talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the colors in Procreate are what I don't want to say juvenile, but they're pretty. You can get more colors in Art Illustrator
You can
than you
get more
can.
sophisticated, right? You can. I mean, obviously, you can do any color under the sun, right? You have the whole color wheel options.
Exactly, exactly. And then you can also bring in your own pictures, and like you show in Doodles to Dollars, uh, bring in the amazing colors that you don't even think of, except from a photograph. So
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to the trellis and the roses because I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the color scheme and
okay.
how you actually, what were some of the things that you used to create that beautiful color scheme, and a little bit just sort of so fun to understand behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the trellis, which is its own pattern, and
Yeah.
then you created this beautiful, the beautiful roses, and then you superimpose them on each other. But the color palette itself is really, really beautiful. So talk to us a little bit about how this came about.
Well, being a photographer and having a phone with you all the time, I'm always taking pictures of pretty flowers when I'm out and about. And so these roses came. There was one particular rose that had that color in it, the
Mm-hmm.
yellow, orange, and peach. And so I took that and I took the colors out of that rose. I colored it in Procreate, trying to match the colors as closely as possible. Each one of these roses is like a different color. There's a purple rose and red rose, but I wanted them all to go together. So I just played with the shading in Procreate and got them all to look like they came from the same bush. And then,
Because this is
I guess.
amazing. I mean, I can't zoom in anymore, but the rose buds, more
Uh-huh.
so than the totally open roses, have that gorgeous, very light yellow on them that you're just
Yeah, if you scroll
describing.
down, there's larger pictures of each one of them.
Yeah.
In So if you scroll down, you can see them a close up picture.
All right, let me keep going. I just love these. And so you're very inspired by the walks that you take. And here, I'm going to scroll down some more. can tell me when I'm in there. I love this one too that you did. This is so beautiful with the honey inside the honeycomb.
Yeah, that was that was a challenge, bringing it into a pattern.
Yeah, this is super hard, right? Because it's a geometric essentially where you have to get the exact spacing.
Yeah. There's my cute husband.
Super cute husband and cat.
And cat. Loves quilts. So yeah, I'm surprised it's not. It's usually up at the top when I look at.
I might have gone down too far.
That's okay, I guess. It's amazing how it, when I look at it in my feed, it's totally like that is at the bottom of my feed.
So who knows how that works?
Yeah.
But I love, one of the comments that I was making when I look at your feed is that you and I'll come back on screen now so that you and I are both back on screen. But the idea for I think that's important for any of our social medias is that we are showing people love behind the scenes, right? They love to understand that you sketch, then you work to develop kind of your color palette, then you create this beautiful repeating pattern, and then you might have a dress made with the fabric because someone totally fell in love with the particular pattern. And it's that, and then there are pictures of you and your husband, and then there's beautiful quilts, right? Further down on the feed, there's beautiful quilts. And so keeping that kind of on rotation, right? You're sort of, rotating through that perspective and view into how you work is what helps people connect with you on a human level, because they can understand more. Okay, how did she get from here to here?
Yeah, and you don't want to bore people, so you don't want to have just completely all patterns all the time. So you want to add other things into your feed, I think, so that it sparks interest.
For sure. So listen, I'm looking at my notes because we're almost at 10:45. I'm going to also glance at the comments, and Rogo Dorth loves the Argyle quilt pattern.
Thanks.
Yeah, fantastic. And Diane Brown just joined. Hello, Diane. So tell us a little bit about just how you are envisioning your business for 2021.
Well, my brain is exploding because of Anne and all the amazing things that she has brought into our lives this year. And so I hope that I've actually reached out to the companies that I work for and sent them a couple of my collections. Cross your fingers that something will come up. But it is interesting how things happen. One of I took pictures of dahlias, and I have it in one of my YouTube videos. And one of the companies just reached out and said, by the way, we love your photographs of your dahlias. Would you mind if we digitally printed them on fabric? So I'm like, sure. So she's like, okay, I'm going to bring them to the next meeting and see how they fly. So, it's just amazing how things start working in the right direction when you pivoted your business or whatever. So
yeah, and then you have the courage, right? The 10 seconds of courage to put it out there. So we haven't gone to your YouTube channel. We got to go to your YouTube channel because you mentioned two things that were super cool about your YouTube channel. So hold on a second. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go to YouTube, and then I'm going to search for a quilt. Oops. Life. That's quilting. So this is a quilt life, right? This is you.
And the second one is me. There we go. Yep.
A quilt life with Susan Palmer. Look at this. She's got a YouTube channel. Okay, I'm subscribing. Everybody's got to go on there and subscribe.
Please subscribe. You don't have to look at the videos, just subscribe.
And talk to us about some of the most, some of these. You're doing a great job. Look, you had two like last week, and then two a month ago. Tell us a little bit about your strategy here with YouTube.
All right. So the picture at the end of Valet Media, that wonderful gentleman, Monty Weaver, he was my guru on learning YouTube. And so if you're beginning of YouTube, I would recommend check him out. He will teach you everything you need to know about YouTube. But basically, so yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So those first two videos are my collections that I sent to my companies to take a look at. So that was a great way of being able to showcase my collection really fast for them. Just send them that video. The third video is actually the one I was telling you about of my design wall. And then the lower ones,
so cute.
Yeah. So these lower ones with the Sasquatch quilt, these are all my Kama Beach ladies that gave me interviews about quilts that they made for Kama Beach. So those are really fun to watch.
Fantastic. So these are like short little interviews, like 15-minute, 10 and 15-minute interviews.
Right. So they're really fun. Yeah, you'll learn a lot about quilting through them.
Look at, you've got 79 views on how to make a quilt design wall. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's another new venture for me, but one subscriber at a time is always wonderful.
Exactly, one subscriber at a time, right? Because we all start with 0.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, listen, what other things would you, as you think about 2021, you tell us a little bit more about like what you put your big goals out there into the world so that they are going to become a reality, right? I always believe in being really intentional about sharing your big goals with the universe because you have to ask for it in order for it to manifest, right? You have to ask for it. If you don't ask for it, no one knows that it has to come to you. So tell us what you want to manifest and we will support you so that we help you make it happen.
Well, I want to do a co-op fabric company. That's my big giant goal. Okay, I'll say it. Most of the fabric companies out there, men own them. And I think as women, we need to take back our creativity and open up our own fabric company. So my big giant goal for 5 years is to find the amazing surface designers that would have their amazing work and be able to print it on fabric and get it out there, and cherish the women that we have in our lives.
I love that. That's fantastic. So it's going to be a co-op quilt
fabric company.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So we all can get rich with our designs.
Yeah. And also be the power behind the scenes.
Right.
Be the girl bosses.
Exactly.
Be the girl bosses. Yeah. Well, fantastic. Well, we are going to be supporting you. So you're getting all kinds of fabulous things. Absolutely. I love the idea of a co-op. Oh my God. It sounds great. I love it. What an amazing goal. I'd love to be part of your co-op. Great idea. So
awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Anne, for everything that you do for us. We're all growing in leaps and bounds because of you. So thank you so much.
Well, that is my absolute pleasure. It's my pleasure. So listen, thank you so much for spending this time with us. And so Susan, when I stop the record, when I stop the live broadcast, you and I will still be connected. So don't go anywhere. And but I really, really love the fact that you were able to come on here and really help educate a lot of us about the quilting world and your business specifically. I want to say how incredibly impressed I am with the fact your website is up and running. You're selling you're selling your designs on those beautiful dresses. You have a YouTube channel, which is like, right? It's your own TV show. Just think about it, right? It's your own TV show. We can all be on TV. And you're doing a great job with your Instagram channel. And so for all of you watching, think of just what you can do if you put one step, one foot in front of the other, right? And we talked a little bit about this before we went live. Don't wait for it to be perfect, right? Mm-hmm. One of my mentors, Ryan Levesque, his favorite expression is you don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get it going. And you are demonstrating that every day. You got the website up and running. You're putting your artwork out there. You've got you're you now have a YouTube channel that can be another way for you to attract customers and clients. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. So everybody, you got to follow her on IG. So make sure that you go to your handle is also Susan Palmer, A Quilt
Yeah.
Life,
Yeah.
and subscribe to her YouTube channel, and then go buy a dress. Go buy one of those gorgeous dresses. That's what I'm gonna do next. I want to get the one that's super French and stylish with the bias, right? With the hem on the bias.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm so grateful that you could join us today. And I can't wait to do this again next week. We'll be doing this actually again next week with Roberta Graver, who's here. And big shout out. Hold on, Susan, you're here, right? So Susan texted me this morning and told me how to get rid of the reflection in my glasses. So
Oh,
Susan, are you still here? So Susan, shout out. How did they look? Can you see less of the window in my glasses, right? So she sent me a clip from a YouTube video about how all you need to do is like put a foam core in front of the window so that you're still getting ambient light, but you don't get the reflection. Now I have too many side windows, and so you can still see them in the side of my glass. You can still see the windows in the side of my glasses, but you don't see them throughout
they,
on my
they look
entire face.
they look great.
And so I don't know. Yeah. So way to go. And Roberta. Yeah. So Roberta's here. Roberta Graver. So Roberta Graver is up next week. And so I can't wait. But thank you also, Roberta, for the pro tip on how to eliminate the reflection of the window in front of me in my glasses. So thank you, Susan. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. You guys know I always like to. You want to say something?
One more thing. I listened to an interview on YouTube today about Dr. Carolyn Maslumi. She's now the U.S. Art Fellow. She's also a quilter. And she had a great quote. She said, "Every activity is a moment of growth." So thank you, Anne, for giving me my growth.
Oh my goodness. I love you to the moon and back. And I always like to say in closing that I am Anne LaFollette, and it's never too late to create. So have a wonderful rest of your Friday and weekend, everyone. And I will be back next Friday. Thank you so much, Susan. Stay on with me, okay?
Okay.
Bye for now, everybody.